Good morning, good evening, good night. We're watching this transmission. I get a lot of people asking about foreclosure properties. I'm not even too sure how it works in Canada. In Canada, it's really tough to get good opportunities on real estate. Usually got to pay through the nose. I know Australia's the same thing, and New Zealand's the same thing in the UK. But in the United States, this is how it works. So we're going to discuss this here and see if any of this applies to your country if you're in the Commonwealth. Here's what you need to know. This is actually from today's date, believe it or not. Here's what you need to know before buying a foreclosure, okay? So let's look at what this says here. Often buyers are searching for a deal. They gravitate towards the idea of purchasing a foreclosure. However, while these homes often look like a steal at first glance, they also come with a lot of red tape. If you've been thinking of buying a foreclosure, read this first. I've laid out the things you need to know before taking the plunge. There are two ways to buy a foreclosure. There are two separate that you can go about buying a foreclosure there as follows. An auction. Okay. Typically, when a bank first forecloses on a property, it is put up for public foreclosure auction, where the bank attempts to sell the property to the highest bidder. These auctions may sound like a convenient way to buy a home, but it does come with risk. Often auctions do not give you the opportunity to see or perform any inspection on the property. Well, those Chinese foreign investors, they don't even look at the property. They just buy them up on the phone. Oh, buy this. Okay, they get an auctioneer, a guy on the phone. They just buy the property. They don't even care before you buy it. Also, auctions typically require you to be able to buy the property with either cash or certified check. Okay, REO properties. REO is real estate owned real estate. Basically, it's an American term. Owned real estate means basically it's owned by the government. It could be owned by the bank. It could be owned by a specific institution. It's not owned by a person. So it's owned, and basically they just and REO properties do not also sell at auction. I just wanted you guys to know that. When a property does not sell at auction, it becomes a real estate owned or REO property. The process of buying an REO property is more similar to buying traditional real estate. Here you can work with real estate agent, perform inspections for your own benefit, and finance the property through a mortgage. So REO property is a little bit better because you get a little bit of leeway on what's going on, a little bit of, This one you got to be careful. They're typically sold as is, so you got to kind of be careful with that. So making sure you check your windows, make sure you get an up-to-date gas bill or electricity bill, just to make sure you know something's not fishy with the property. When the bank forecloses on a home, it's because the previous owners stopped making their mortgage payments. Therefore, when the bank puts an REO property on the market, they're already operating at a loss. Their goal is to recoup as much of that loss as possible. As such, foreclosures are typically sold as is condition, meaning that the bank will not cover the cost of any necessary repairs. With that in mind, if you're thinking of buying a foreclosure, be prepared for any repair costs to fall on your shoulders, depending on the state and the property. But I've seen foreclosure properties going in Florida for like $22,000, Arizona $18,000. So buying a property for 18, a 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom, 2-bath for 18 grand on a foreclosure, I think it's not bad. I don't mind putting 30, 40 large into a property if I bought it for next to nothing. I mean, I could pretty much buy it on a credit card for that much, You'll either need to have extra cash on hand after your down payment and closing costs. You'll need to investigate getting a renovation loan, which will allow you to roll out the cost of any repairs into your mortgage. So they want to get you right at the bat. So they want you to get the mortgage, but they also, let's add another 30 large in there. And then you're on the hook for another 30 large. You should perform an inspection and title search. Title search is important, guys, because title searches allows you to find out if there's any liens or anybody else on title to the property that are part owner of it. Be careful. Do a title search. Here is called First Canadian Mortgage, and you can look it up in title search and find out who's on title to what property, right? However, just because the property is listed as is doesn't mean you should skip your inspections. If anything, it's all more reason to go with eyes wide open about how much work the property needs. Luckily, you can still do inspections for your benefit, meaning that they're for your informational purposes only, to give you an idea of the scope of work that needs to be done. So I see a lot of these, buying home renovation shows, and they buy a house for $170,000 and they're guessing it's going to require 30 large to fix it. And guess what? It costs them $56,000, and it takes away from their profits. And it becomes a headache at times in some of those shows, watching some of the people, what they go through. It's in your best interest to include this contingency in your offer. That way, if the property needs more work than you can handle, you can have an option to walk away from the sale. In addition, you'll want to perform a title search before you buy. Sometimes foreclosures can be sold with liens attached, meaning that any debt against the property will become the new buyer's responsibility. Also, unpaid property taxes, guys. Sometimes you get unpaid property taxes slapped on that property, and you become responsible for those property taxes even though they're not yours. So be careful, eh? The title search will tell you if there's any debt against the property and how much you will be expected to pay if you accept responsibility for it. So some people do take on these take on a mortgage or take on a property with some sort of, so like a house like this would foreclose 180 grand, 220,000 high end. But yeah, I don't know how it works. Like Canada's very vague. No one has an opportunity in Canada to buy a house for 30, 40, 50 grand that's been foreclosed on, right? It's sad. There's really a zero to no opportunity when it comes to these kind of things in Canada. I know Australia, it's pretty tough. Foreclosures are like almost buying it at cost. And I heard of foreclosure properties in Australia, and it's pretty much at cost. You're not getting no deals. Where I've known people firsthand tell me, yeah, I picked up another condo in Arizona for $22,000. It was a foreclosure. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath in a really good area in Phoenix. You know what I'm saying? But for other people, for other countries, you don't get this, So let me know how your country works and operates when it comes to foreclosures. Is there, is it, do they, I see this for first-time home buyers getting into the market. A good thing. Do they offer this in your country? Let me know. Comment below. And if you want to support this transmission, don't forget to buy me a coffee on Patreon. I'm also on Minds.com and BitChute. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button.